Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Wolferton here, and I would like to say that since we already did episode 5 of Wallace Bennett, since we already got him for president, this time we'll be going with all the way with LBJ. This is the time. So like, if you're already seeing this video, you've already seen the Wallace F. Bennett episode up first. But given this episode, I am also going within context of like also exploring the presidency of LBJ in the secondary timeline, so please do keep that in mind. Thank you. What do you mean I have insufficient resources? Let's change up some of the surplus. 4% surplus. Ooh, that's good. Ah, here we go. The first one, the choice and the echo. Phyllis Schlafly, I apologize if I might have butchered that or whatever, sat down at her desk in St. Louis, rewriting her book she planned, titled A Choice, Not an Echo. She had to throw out the first draft after the altering political landscape of '64 made the old draft worthless, and given the ideas of everything with Goldwater sabotage, just like Taft was by internationalists, the political elite kingmakers steal conventions from the average American voter. Wow. Couldn't have said it better myself, honestly. We're gonna move past Nixon. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna have all of the, okay. So, let's see. Alright, we're gonna be moving past Nixon. And we're also gonna put him as a soul in torment, just to be on the safe side, because why the heck not? Actually, you know what? I think one of my soldiers would have been best retrofitted if... Yeah, there we go. Hey, where's... Oh, there's the other one. Okay, let's see. The Civil Rights Act that had been passed. KTVM and Mr... Ah, I see. So here it is. Republican, Democrat, and MPP politicians. I say... You know what? We're still gonna go conservative on the issue of civil rights, because I think I might also want to. I may also want to have LBJ get a piece of his own darn mind. You know, because we got to 10 more conservative, or something. You know, I don't really give a care.
Ready.
Oh, we ran a good RDC campaign. Cool. Let's see. Holding a poll, a toss-up. Okay, that's nice. Central Africa will soon be defeated. We'll send this one over to here. Yep. Let's see. Okay. Make more development plans. Security support there, and where else? Operation Angel. Let's see. Ah, here we go. Air support and stuff. Alright. Start up a media campaign, because we're gonna need it. Commander in Chaos. They'd get through this, they had to. Well, I think that's a good thing for Mr. McCormick, or Lame Duck McCormick, as he knew that some kind of status quo would emerge eventually, but it's going to be a painful, difficult, and throughout it, all he had to keep it from getting worse. Divert attention to the military at least a bit. Hold a responsible White House meeting. Cold reception. I gotta hear this one. Rob quickly whipped open the door at Jack's office open. Slide inside and shut it behind him as Jack looked up from his desk. Rob was still peering through the office blinds. Really, why was he? Double checking to see if not he had been followed, but how close his followers were behind him. Rob, what the blank? Jack asked, bewildered. As Rob wiped the sweat off his face, it had been one of those colder days of the month, and Rob seemed like he had just run a marathon. Right, and they think we had something to do with this. Rob nearly yelled, constantly looking back through the blinds for his followers. Jack took a deep breath. Robert, what are you goddamn talking about? Jack, you ignorant blank. What I'm talking about is this paper from the Times on Greenland. Commies, Jack. They snapped some of the pics of counter-riot procedures, and now we're getting heck for it just because they're supposed to be hobos. Read this. Rob slapped the newspaper on his desk. This boat of mass poverty and staunch pro-American bias in everyday society. A pro-Yankee bias. Anyways, alongside the photos covered the front page of handless freezing hobos getting gas certainly were evocative enough for the opposition to begin foaming around the topic, especially with the Alaskans. Rob, you're right. I'll begin looking into this immediately, Jack said. Not have noticed that Rob was staring at him. Jack nodded. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Have a good day, Robert. With that, Rob left the office and continued with his day. Jack sat there and knew that Rob was right. This would wind up being a real problem. It took more than a few decades, but this might actually make people give a heck about Greenland. Jack dialed up his superior. Jack here, we might have an issue. Yep, even Greenland is getting fed up with the American control, or something like that. That's what happens when you have a military that takes too long to even. Long shall the world remember Manaco's name in the name of the spaghetti western. In Italian, Libya, or Tunisia, that is. Okay. Send in arms shipments to that state. Oh no, I'm not gonna let the PPLN win the state of Tiburon. I'm not doing that. Let's see. Oh, the RDs. Okay, that's good. 3 days until divert attention of the military. A temporary tax hike. A temporary tax hike with a 5% surplus. Nice. Okay. Time to be Speaker of the House. Urban voters will support both the Republican and Democrats for 2 weeks straight. All right. May God help us all indeed. Gotta make. Yep, the American despair. Whatever. The arsenal of democracy. The Scottish can only help with eventual liberation in Europe. We have a special relationship with Scotland. Scotland gets the event, the benefits of cooperation. The American despair. Whatever embers of optimism that still lingered in America's heart snuffed out by the recent tragedy. Misery and division gripes her society once more, and the American dream is barely a memory. America's outlook has never been so bleak before since the day we lost the war. Few Americans can find anything in our society worth striving for after what happened. Our nation has hit ultimately rock bottom, and it seems impossible to ever rise again. May God really help us all. Civilian austerity measures. Let's see, military spending factor. I wonder if I tried this one instead. Military austerity. Budget cuts have forced government to take immediate measures to stave off worse effect. Military cuts were implemented as it was judged that implementing cuts to the civilian sector would generate backlash. While the economic situation is stabilizing, our military will be degraded due to slower equipment production, fewer training opportunities, and minimal recruitment. Military officials have criticized... Hang on, okay. Military officials have criticized the cuts, but it is necessary to ensure that the situation does not worsen for us. I mean, I'm not wrong in that. I gotta prevent like, you know, stuff from hitting the fans. What? Frank S. Benson Jr. falls ill? Man. Oh, Welch endorses Wallace. So let's see. Birds of a feather flock together, and these two are cuckoos. Or what if I still did the Wallace can stop the new order? You know what? I'll do this alternate one this time. Birds of a feather flock together, and these two are cuckoos. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna do it for the giggles and stuff. Got to make sure that the civilian factories and military workshops used are in equilibrium. Our nominal GDP growth is 8%, while inflation is at 4%, and our real GDP growth is like at 3%. Gotta say, we're really balancing things out nicely.
Ready.
Time to make the final push in Central Africa.
Pushing them back, sir!
Pushing them back, sir. I love it. Oh, what's this? Oh, dang. Alfred Zerbel is now leader of Eastland Bratzungarat. I still find it so weird that Spear really still won, and now he's created the Zollverein. Time for us to curb radicalism. Rural voters will support the Democratic Party for 2 weeks. Or was it? Yep. The rural people do love their nativism, so we can't, like, infringe on that. And that's supposed to be a good thing. Because we need to leave the rural people alone, like, it's just common sense. Okay, arm shipments to Magadan. Oh, let's see. Align Ovobursk with the OFN. Ooh, nice. We get to do that now? Miniature compass. A map, a compass, and the MK1 eyeball are all an agent needs to travel far, both literally and figuratively, but space is a luxury behind enemy lines. There's a compass metal bulk may mean the difference between relative health and malarial sickness, small enough to fit a buttonhole. Miniature compass solves this dilemma handily. Wow. Wow, this is something. I like it. Let's see, gotta keep on, Oh wow, Magadon really is going out there. The RFP party is corporatist. Wow, I did not even expect that. Divert more attention to the military. I have to say, our yearly surplus economy, our economy has an annual surplus gathering of $22.94 billion. Oh wait, what's this? The Indian National Congress splits. Following the collapse of V.K. Krishna Menon's government and early retirement of Subhas Chandra Bose, the INC erstwhile have growing opposition and try to for treason. Prime Minister for treason? Allies of circumstance can never be true allies after all. I mean, it's common sense. Yeah, that is kind of true. Dang it, we did a terrible RDC campaign. Let's try in the Deep South. This is a prediction we'll have in the 1960 U.S. elections. Man, some of the West and Midwest states were actually gathered as well. Some of the Upper South and the Deluvier Plan. International observers have great interest in Antonio Pinay's administration. Pinay really seems to be turning around things over in France. Named after Paul Deluvier, the plan emphasizes expansion, modernization, efficiency, and modern management practices. The plan focuses priorities and leads investment to predetermined targets and a less rigid approach to economics compared to other plans of similar nature. You keep going, Antony Pinay. We're all rooting for a reformist France. Crank up the draft. War press. I'm not going to decrease free press rights. The objects of torture. This light is not for those men. Oh, the bower gazed upon his tormentors. Wow. And our optics decreased by a small amount. Oh well, at least this is the final push.
Ready!
Yep, South Africans, Australians, Brazilians even too are joining in on the fight. And even I think also Iberia also joined in at one point, but I think they had to recall their troops back, I believe. I'm not really sure. Oh wow, diplomatic alert. The South Africa War has come to a close. The Union of South Africa has finally defeating the OFN Provisional Government of the Congo and their allies. Wait, what? It should have been like the Africa Shield. What the hell? The sun rises on the Congo's crooked shores. The first step towards the morrow. They done it. We're out of a frying pan and into the flames, boyo. Yep. I can tell in that meantime, the Malagasy rebellion is still having some problems. The end of the South Africa War with peace at last. The South African War victory. We took brave decisions to join in South Africa's defensive war against German aggressors. There are many who claim we had entered a pointless war, one where true victory was impossible due to circumstances of the situation. Yet, when the final Red Commissariat surrendered and their leaders were taken into custody, none could deny the fact we had achieved overwhelming victory against the forces of tyranny. During the war, we discovered the deplorable conditions of the native peoples of Africa were kept in by their German oppressors. Disease and famine were common, and the regimes cared little for their people beyond how much wealth they could be extracted before they ran dry. This has to change. Our OFN Our South African OFN-aligned ally have taken administration control over Nambia, Rhodesia, and southern Mozambique. That leaves us with the vast swaths of land of Central Africa under our control. Keeping the land would be a ridiculous and idiotic idea. However, we must choose whether to establish multiple democratic states in an area or whether to attempt a single large unified Central African state. I'm gonna just do the same risk because I know I've seen like when they do like the free mandates and stuff like that, but I like to do the large Central African state as a more optimal idea, as long as I keep it above a 50%. And I had to do tax hikes too because I gotta pay for the dang war. That's all there is to it. Triumph in South Africa. The Dark Continent is no more. Nope, duty calls from Washington. Let's see. Push for federalism in East Africa. Let's see. Training in. East Africa. The Congo. The African quagmire. Huh. Well, that's very subtle. Commit more troops to the country. What? You're kidding me, right? Like, okay, this is starting to get weird. Do I have to put debug smooth again? Oh yeah, I had debug smooth off. Gosh darn it. A question for President McCormack. They were all convicted for a good reason. They are not part of the RDC. Ugly people. The ugly American was aware that he was the only man not wearing a tie. Having returned from some villages to deliver construction equipment, he found himself in a mansion of a Haitian foreign minister in rough dirt-flecked khakis surrounded by fashionably dressed men. Were it not for soldiers standing near the windows, guests laughing and drank, one would not be able to tell they were in the middle of a war zone. My, aren't you a mess, said a voice. He turned to see an older man in a fine suit sip a martini and flash a small grin. I do hope wages in the Foreign Service haven't gotten so bad that men can't afford suits anymore. I'm looking for the Deputy Chief of Mission. Have you? Oh, probably smoking some refers. Having a good time. A few of your State Department friends took some woman upstairs a while ago if you want to check the bedrooms. The American opened his mouth, but the moment there was a loud cheer as a man in a military dress uniform opened a bottle of champagne with a saber. White foamed slopped out onto the carpet. The man studied it quizzically. You ever think about how hard the people of these places have to work to keep us entertained? The best parties, the best drinks, the best girls. I was in Iraq right before the coup, and it was the same thing, except for the Italians. He seemed lost in his thoughts. I suppose if they stopped having these things, then there would be no reason to be here. Just another crazy hole on the map. The ugly American could no longer hide his disgust. He shook his head and walked away without another word. Best luck finding your friend, the man called after him. There's drinks here when you give up. Wow, I did not even expect that. How crazy. That's just, like, that is just crazy. But regardless, I had to try to commit more troops. Let's see, expand, provide economic aid. The polls are updated. Woohoo! Alright, now we can do some work. Expand Port-au-Prince Harbor. motorized air equipment, establish Mach. Yep, I'm basically going all out with much of these decisions, because, who knows? A presidential visit. Wheels, wheels down at McDermott AFB Leopoldville has just been after 10 in the morning, but it felt like they had been there for weeks. Most of the aids were used to Washington Summers, but they still went through canteen after canteen trying to avoid heat stroke. Everyone was exhausted from the hot sun and burn they had to bear. The president had spent the days touring the area's vast military infrastructure, some of it previously used by the Reich Commissariat. At a hospital, he pinned Purple Hearts on the wounded and paid tribute to the dead, bearing witness to the results of a vast charnel house of a conflict. As the sun set over the Congo, he stood in front of a crowd of thousands of uniformed men and women. The speech was meant to pump them up, restore confidence that their nation was behind them, but still the president could not see the uneasiness in their eyes. With God as my witness, I value that America has not abandoned the brave men and women of our armed forces. Far from it, we stand together united against the tide of fascism, imperialism, and oppression. They applauded dutifully, but deep down he knows that they don't all believe it. Thank you for your service. Man, talk about bleakness in people's eyes. That is just crazy. I wouldn't blame them either, cause yeah. Oh, almost forgot. The passing of the 1964 Olympic Games came to an end. Tokyo left quite the impression, and now the passing of the torch. Entry 43. Some cop thought it was a good idea to snoop behind the jalopy, so now my skull split open like a watermelon. Well, not actually split, but you know what I mean. At least I'm backed enough to shrug off the migraine a bit. Gotta ask Carlos where he gets his buds sometimes. We're buddies, so it's no big deal, right? It's no fun grounding yourself in your own house because of an injury. Not to do but toke, watch all the BS, the media shovels, maybe get around to finish coursework. Just kidding. I haven't touched a textbook in months, so just toke and watch BS. Pretty much. Seeing your mug for a flash second before Cronkite plays a script about hooligans in the streets got old and thin quick. Erie thought I should get a hobby. I say, why bother? I'm all good at the smoke pot and give myself a concussion for doing the decent thing. That and the army's out to hand me my papers any day now. What do hobbies matter when some old warlord in Africa bound to riddle my chest with lead either way? Can't understand her sometimes, honestly, but I guess that's part of her charm. Her helpfulness and sunny, bright outlook, I mean. In other news, prom's coming up. I can either go stag or go with someone. Kidding again. Who's the poor sap who would want to partner up with poor old me? But the food's free, and that's all that matters. I'll probably just loiter around and leave as soon as I get my fill of a buffet line. Save the dancing for the phonies lucky enough to have a future. Alright, more as soon as I find something new to talk about. Tomorrow, the day after, next acid trip, who knows? Peace out, Jules. Oh, wow. And the boys are coming home from the South Africa War. Wow. The housewife as address of from the White House, and so too does the first major conflict the U.S. and a major power for the first time in nearly 2 decades. Housewives of military men, having heard their husbands will indeed be coming home, screeches in delight as her neighbor have only received her flag for her deceased the day before, stares at the television in a broken torpor. College students put aside their protest placards and megaphones for the day, choosing instead the bottle and the blunt for a day basking in the fruits of their success, or the unstated delight that they will not be called up anytime soon. The draftees in boot camp continue to curse their fate and their drill sergeants, but a tad quieter, relieved that their service might be a peaceful one. In the Pentagon, planners quietly vacate their desk for a longer than usual smoke break. Their immediate work mercifully concluded, that is, until the inevitable orders came to prepare for the soldiers' return. And in the White House, the president receives another briefing, their thoughts unknowable beneath a facade of practiced calm. Across America, the nation welcomes the first day after the South African War. Today, America will grieve the dead and embrace its returning heroes, and start coming to terms with the horrors of a war in the veldt and its consequences. Another generation defined by war. Couldn't have said it myself, honestly. Another generation defined by war indeed. The African mandates, let's see. Oh, I also gotta make sure that I know what I'm doing. Okay, so our hawkishness is at 82, our optics is at 93. Our trust in government is 121. We got 12.1. Oh, crunching numbers on the desk. McCormick never had seen so many numbers in his life. Right now, as the rest of the country headed out to the polls to cast their vote, in what has become the most divisive election in living memory, all he could do was sit and examine endless sheets of paper stacked out on the desk. Newspapers, stat sheets, communiques from all across the country. Contents of the papers were varied, but on each of them had circled particular stats he was looking for, the polls. The NYT said the RDC had a good stance in Iowa, while the Boston Globe predicted a bloodbath in the MPP's favor. Pollsters in Illinois seemed confident Republican senator would keep his seat, but news from Louisiana was not so encouraging. Endlessly, McCormick gorged himself on poll numbers, feeling his heart sink at every poor showing and subsequently soared at every promising result. Yet he himself increasingly frustrated as pollsters seemed incapable of agreeing with one another, and the final result remained as unclear as ever. Uncertainty made him feel sick to his stomach. He knew he hadn't always made right choices, and MPP were stronger now than they ever had. Before Nixon and Kennedy were the reason he was in this mess, yet history would remember him as the man who made or break their RDs. As the night wore on and the official vote counts began, McCormick felt his eyelids begin to droop. Resting his head upon a copy of the Washington Post, he felt his thoughts and ears ebb away as sleep finally took into him. He resigned himself to the knowledge that he would wake up to a brand new president, whoever that might be. Sleep well, caretaker president. Yep, sleep well, Mr. John Lame Duck McCormick. You earned your sleep. Stability is at 67.40%, and our weekly stability is at a negative 0.80%. It is down to our governors and administrators in the mandate to ensure their stability. However, they will undoubtedly require unconsiderable report from the United States. It's the economy, darn it. More than anything else, Americans vote with their pocketbooks. Presidents and parties that oversee times of plenty are more likely to earn favor of voters than those who have seen times of want. It is imperative, therefore, to ensure a prosperous economy, lest voters ensure incumbent candidates find themselves exiled into the wilderness. Likely for us, economic performance in the past few quarters has surprised expectations, and even naysayers and skeptics have quieted themselves in recent weeks in face of economic prosperity. A boon to not only the president's approval, but our odds of electoral success as Americans head to the polls. America votes with their pocketbook. Yep, as you can see, that our economy is really going steadily well. Okay, time to put inflation back down. Ah, here we go, the presidential debate. This time it's between George Wallace and Lyndon B. Johnson, in this alternate timeline where I choose LBJ as president. Let's just say this, Johnson has a plan and he can get it done. Or how about Johnson has a plan and he can get it all done? Yep, I'm gonna be going through Johnson's Great Society. Allende inaugurated in Chile, and the vultures have begun to circle. Ooh, spooky. Ooh, we run an excellent campaign. Let's see how this goes. Oh wow, between LBJ and Wallace, I gotta see this. Oh wow, Election Day of 1964. Across America, today, tens of millions of people lined up in churches, libraries, schools, and even community centers to exercise their right to vote. In Dixville, Notch and Hart's location, New Hampshire, excited old-timers gathered in town ballot rooms at midnight to see where they could be the first in the nation to vote. Throughout the day, pundits of all three major networks speculated who will clinch necessary EC majority to win the White House. Will it be the brash populist coalition of the MPP or the stated embattled but strong incumbents of the RDC? America faced countless challenges these past several years, from political strife to a bloody war. As the night goes on, Walter Cronkite of CBS is the first to announce their projection. The winner of his 1964 presidential elections is the Republican coalition received 384 electoral votes. The MPP received 153 electoral votes. And it's Lyndon Baines Johnson for the win. Yep, we ran an excellent RDC campaign, boys. And now, LBJ will be the next US president. How cool is that? Yep. Here's the 1964 elections between LBJ and George Wallace. Oh wow. Wallace lost Minnesota, Montana, and Washington. But he also lost West Virginia too. But surprisingly, he actually gained Utah, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, even North Carolina and Tennessee, and I believe also Oklahoma and Florida too. Wow. I gotta give props for Wallace though. That's all I gotta say. I gotta give him props. The Commonwealth of England under Harold Wilson. Okay. Let's see. Toggle shipment of weapons, send arm support. Expand Ramney AFB. Okay. Well, FN unity is high, ladies and gents. That's where we're going. Let's see. Increase. Let's see. Protect pro-American businesses, or let's do Operation Bastant. I'm gonna be a bit cheap on this one. Operation Jewel, Operation Concord. Let's see. Operation Jewel. Not really sure about that, but okay. Armed shipments to Magadan and continuing their support. Let's just speed things up. Oh, I almost forgot about the Algerian Union. It's under this guy by Said Boualama. What? Unofficial Italian settlement. For the Revolution Eternal, Madras inaugurated as President of Mexico. Wow. A Christmas miracle! Christmas season was normally a busy time under normal circumstances on Capitol Hill. Ooh, Mr. President for McCormick. Call the press. We have some good news to share for once for Christmas. Woohoo! Nice. What's this? Unofficial Italian settlement. Due to the fact that the territory is ripe for settlement, many poor Italians have migrated in hopes of acquiring land. And needless to say, mass immigration of Italians only compound our miseries due to our weak hold over the area. Alright. The Senate class elections are in. And the polls are being updated. Alright. The presidential election is over. The presidential elections and their predictions will now be moved to a previous elections tab in the GUI. Hey, I got a reward. What is this one? Playthrough. Oh, here we go. Namesake. What's this award supposed to be for? The FULNA insurgency. Oh, stability returns to Paraguay. Oh, nice. They actually restored stability. How cool. Surplus of spending. Oh, wow. As the heating pot. As death count steadily increased and more honest Americans mourn their loved ones. The political temperature is rising at an alarming speed. Dozens of weekly reports from FBI that ever larger protests break out throughout the country. Now they no longer needed to warn the government about risking discontent, as the president found himself when he looked out the window. Right before the gates stood grim and silent dozens of men and women of all ages. Some upheld photos of husband, children, brothers of those who lost bodies, lost in the jungle, or mangled body recognition. They couldn't even hold for a last goodbye. Guards outside were visibly in difficulty. They surrounded the small crowd, but didn't try to dislodge them as they were unarmed and quiet. They didn't scream or try to force the block. They all waited there and looked at a certain window. There, a certain person was looking back. The president couldn't see their eyes. They were too distant, but for that he felt the cold, unwavering stare full of hate and desire for vengeance made chills down his spine. We need to get a handle on this. There will be a rise in extremism. All voters will support the Progressive and Nationalist caucuses for 2 weeks. Dang, just when we won the South African War? Oh, man. Jacob wished he could. Oh no, martial law in Indonesia. What if the military can't hold out? When failure benefits. Take that as a lucky feat. Up Spear does his Sonderlich in Germany. Classy. The Macedon quiet. The Balkans grow a lot more quieter. Let's see, more shipments. Oh. Overhaul the... Wait, what? What was that one? Overhaul the Guantanamo Naval Base. Alright. Expand... I'm not really sure if I want to expand military training or not, but let's keep, let's see, expand... Okay, let's expand some training missions. Busted! We are now waiting orders from Jakarta. Japan gets a question of escalation. Wow, that is crazy. I gotta say. Wait, actually, hold on, just one more and... Brian Wilson retires from touring. Hope Brian's coming back soon. Anyway, this is where I'll stop for the LBJ run as president in 4th of January 1965. So yeah, right? Like, this is like a second alternate timeline where I'm having LBJ as president, doing his presidential playthrough, but I know people will most likely prefer the Wallace F. Bennett playthrough in my alternate save play that I already did the first timeline around with the first as episode 5. This is an alternate episode 5 that focuses on the LBJ presidency. So take that as you may. So anyway, hope you great society people love this video. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next alternate episode in LBJ's presidency.